Here's a garden tip.
From our garden to yours.
It's surprising how many common landscape plants could harm your pet if they ingest it. With me today is Dennis Mudge, our natural resources and livestock agent. He's a poisonous plant expert, and he's here to tell us all about why pets are attracted to plants.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. You would think dogs can eat anything. How could they possibly get poisoned? But you know, Celeste, they can, because they'll eat anything. They're scavengers, and so they can even eat rotten stuff and be okay. But when it comes to a poisonous plant, even a dog can be killed.
And I always thought that animals knew what was toxic and what was not.
Yeah, don't believe that. They really don't, and they get in trouble sometimes. And I get calls from veterinarians as well as homeowners saying, what could have possibly killed my dog?
And a lot of times I know they think it's poison that was put out, pesticides or something like that, but a lot of times it's actually that they ingested a plant.
That's right. Probably the #1 killer of dogs on the table here today is sago palm. You say, what? Sago palm? Well, it's toxic, but normally they wouldn't bite this and get hurt. It's actually that big flower that comes out of it. Smells horrible, like rotten eggs. Only a dog would eat on it, and it's the #1 killer of dogs in Orlando that eat poisonous plants.
No kidding. And so I see another one on the table that I know is highly poisonous. And this is poisonous to humans too?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So the other one on the table, the oleander, that
Yes.
could also, of course, poison humans, but animals eat this as well?
Well, if they get into it, puppies sometimes will chew on things that are in the yard just for fun. That's a no-no with this one. This one is so poisonous that when the Navy base was here, some of the boys cooked hot dogs on sticks and they died. That is that poisonous. Oleander is a dangerous plant. We see it along our highways, but we need to be aware of that. And so if your dog, even your puppy, chews on it, you're in trouble.
Now, you had also mentioned cats. Are some of these plants something that a cat would be attracted to as well?
Probably not. Cats are a different story. Cats chew on plants to throw up a hairball, and they do it commonly. And so that's a safe thing for them normally because they throw up what they eat. But what if they chewed on an oleander? It wouldn't matter if they threw up their hairball or not, they would still die. So that's how a cat can get in trouble. And I see it more this way. They'll pick out a plant in the house, like a pothos or an English ivy that you've got in your house. You don't know it's poisonous. The cat's chewing on it weekly to throw up its hairballs, or monthly to throw up its hairballs, and gradually it's poisoning itself from a plant that is poisonous right in your house.
And this is a plant, the pothos is toxic too?
Yes,
poisonous?
it is. It is. Not as strong as these others, but with gradual poison, it could kill your cat.
Well, let's talk about the big white thing on the table. What is that?
Don't overlook the funguses. They can be extremely poisonous, and you want to be really aware of that fact. The traditional mushrooms are not, of course, and puffballs, but funguses are bad. Again, a cat would never touch that, but a dog sure would, and that's why you want to rid your yard of these, because if your dog or your puppy gets into them, they could die.
And even a child too, so a lot of them are the same. What about the tomato? I didn't know tomatoes were poisonous.
They sure are. Tomato plants in the nightshade family, and there's a weed that appears in our yard every so often that has a square stem that looks just like the tomato plant, but instead it has a little black berry on it. Oh, it's very poisonous.
That's
it's called
nightshade.
deadly nightshade. Yeah, our black nightshade, same family. This plant's poisonous too. We eat the fruit, and the plant is poisonous. Who would ever think of it? And in our garden there's others. The potato plant, the eggplant, they're in this same family. Even though the fruit is edible, or in the case of a potato, the tuber, they're poisonous.
Well, back in the day, I heard that tomato was the real original poison apple for Sleeping Beauty because the plant's poisonous and they thought that the fruit was also poisonous. So that's an old wives' tale. So what else have you got? You've got one more, I think.
Yeah, the Chinese tallow's in a lot of people's yards. That's one not to overlook. It's very poisonous, so it's one you want to be concerned about. Chinese tallow. And here's one that may surprise you, the asparagus fern. It's poisonous, but the real bad one's the fruit. The little tiny fruit that's on it, if you had a kitten that decided to play with that and eat that, whether you had it in your yard or in your hanging plant outside, it could kill your cat.
So how many poisonings did you say you get calls a year? I wonder how many pet poisonings there are a year.
You know, I don't get them all, but I want to tell you one thing about this that's really important, and that is if you do have a plant animal that gets poisoned, take the plant with you when you go to the vet. That's the way they can help you. If you don't take the suspected plant, you may have trouble. So you want to take it along. And I get calls every so often, usually from the veterinarians who are tied in, who know that I work in this area.
And the vets, they pretty much know a lot about plants and poisonous.
I would say they know a lot about animals, and that's why they call me for extra help. They know a few toxic plants, and there are hundreds, so knowing all of them is hard for them. So that's why everybody's looking things up online these days, and everybody listening can look things up online too and get a good idea if this is a possible plant for poisoning. Not just for pets, but your children and grandchildren as well.
Dennis Mudge, thank you very much for all your help on poisonous plants toxic to dogs and cats. I appreciate it. If you have some of these plants in your yard, you may need to pet proof so that you can prevent a toxic ingestion by your pet.